Hello and welcome to the ministry. This is Tajma and we are doing the next video. Okay, I have to be honest and admit something to you guys because I just figured this out and this is my fault because I called myself being fast yesterday and thought all I had to say was, oh, let me go and do this little quick word talking about, what was it? I was talking about the dreams. I was like, oh, I remembered this part. Let me just add that part. Yeah, great little short. Awesome. God had more to say. Because I actually sat down. Pause. What am I talking about? As we know, I just finished doing that 13-part series. Yeah, it came out to 13 parts, probably 15 parts altogether if you include the shorts and all that parts. For the Kingdom Marriage series, going from the female prodigal, the male prodigal, the counterfeits, and Kingdom Marriage. And I know all y'all sitting there be like, I thought that was going to be a series that was going to talk really nice and happy about Kingdom Marriage. It was not. I'm sorry. It wasn't. It dug into some holes. But I told you in the beginning, I wasn't here to make y'all feel happy. Everybody sees the word Kingdom Marriage. It's about to be the best word in the world. You're about to tell me about. I got real with y'all. Come on now. I'm sorry. Did I hurt your feelings? I didn't mean to. But we got to get realistic and practical right now because Kingdom Marriage is real. And it was so interesting that the Lord used an outline of a fictitious TV show to depict the fight of Kingdom Marriage between these two main characters that loved each other but couldn't seem to get it right to save their life. But he brought me back to these same two characters. I thought, oh, I did the entire walkthrough of the entire series, their entire relationship from beginning to end, everything from on his side, everything on her side. I figured I was done. We did the Kingdom Marriage part. We went through all their counterfeits. We went through everything. I think I was sitting there thinking I touched on everything there was to touch on with relation to Kingdom Marriage. Jokes. I lied to myself. Because why? The Lord brought me back to one of the episodes that I didn't dig too deeply into in the overview of the Kingdom Marriage because I wasn't going through every single individual part and piece of the episode. We'd have been there forever if I went through every single episode. But the Lord brought my attention yesterday, and I knew He was bringing my attention to it because I was going to release another word last night, but the situation didn't appease for me to be able to release it immediately after, and I'm glad I didn't because two words that I watched, it was funny because I was watching the episode and I said, let me wait to the end of this episode to watch this video because it was a 20-minute video and the episode was on, and I'm like, let me wait to the end of this episode then watch this video. Why in the world, when I stopped watching the episode, when the episode went off, the person I was listening to, Megan Michelle, came on with the video that I said I was going to wait till the end to watch. Everything she said was in right straight alignment with what I just watched in that episode. I was like, oh my God. Why? What? Then I got on a live with Remnant Rising, and when I say the word was still lining up, this was straight God. This was straight God. when it came down to the lineup. And why did I just look at the time for how long I've been on this video? It was 4, 5, 6. Everything's lining up. I can't make this stuff up. So that means that the Lord wants me to go through what happened in that episode between the kingdom marriage of these two people. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go over it. Get ready, because here we go. I actually opened a different note app to talk specifically about this because I needed to write this note quick. And I decided to, and I ended up with like a whole segment. Let me show you how much he gave me after. Because this app isn't black and white. You can see the note. It's turning. The note turn upside down? Wait. There you go. You can see the note. Yeah, that's how much more he gave me in relation to what it is I'm going to talk about today. I'm like, really, God? Really? So, now that we've gotten the pleasantries out of the way, let's get into the actual word. What is this word? There were 3 points that I wanted to hit that I didn't talk about. Let me give you a refresher to where we are in the kingdom marriage prodigal, female prodigal situation. There was a point where I was talking in the original content where I brought up a quote. It was a quote that talked about the rebellion of the kingdom spouse male, meaning the prodigal man, feeling his rebellion and feeling he was inadequate to be with his kingdom wife. Okay? And I quoted the part in which she was telling him, I know what you did because you did it to me. I wish you did, but I can't. I love you too much. This quote came from this episode that I'm about to review. Now, I didn't know the Lord wanted me to focus specifically on this episode until he brought it to my attention last night. So here we go. In the episode, it was a situation where the male prodigal character was going through a situation where a lot of his memories from his past rebellion were haunting him. Some of your God-ordained spouses have past history, and as the Lord is showing and preparing them for walking into this God-ordained kingdom marriage, the enemy, who is the enemy, is reminding them of their past. Okay? Now, the kingdom wife character was not with him at the time. This was one of their moments of separation. She didn't want to have anything to do with him because she called herself trying to move on with her life because it was too much for her dealing with what was going on in his rebellion and him not wanting to be involved with her and so on and so forth. And then with the other drama issues that they had, it was too much. So she called herself, I'm going to let him go. I'm not going to. When we are ordainedly connected to somebody, we can't let them go. We can try, but God wants us together. So because God wants you together, you can try to separate yourself, but if God didn't separate you, guess what? It's not going to work. Y'all going to end up back together. It's y'all stubbornness that's keeping y'all apart, okay? Him being rebellious and you being like, I want to sabotage this. I don't want to be a part of this. Which pause lets me remind myself that one of the main reasons that their relationship wasn't working is because she kept trying to sabotage. Because every time she felt herself getting close to him, she would self-sabotage. So she would start to be like, either she would try to get in control of the relationship, which he was being very not nonchalant, but because of his rebellion and his inadequacy or feeling inadequate, he always let her take control. Ergo, you're never supposed to do that, because if it's a kingdom relationship, man's supposed to be in control, but he was allowing her to be in control because of his weakness. So she was being self-sabotaging. So she would always take control and be like, I don't want to be in a relationship with you, so I'm going to leave. When she know her heart would, the second something happens, her heart comes running back to him immediately. What's wrong? What's wrong? Something's going on. I can tell. And sometimes she's like, I can tell something is wrong with this situation. Let me go ask everybody to help because something ain't right. Come on now. When it comes down to our kingdom relationships, we know if we see something wrong, we see a photograph of our God-ordained spouse and he ain't looking okay. God, I said this, God, what's going on with him? What do I need to pray about? Because he looking kind of off right now. What's up? Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm lying. That's what we do. Is it not? Oh, okay. I was just checking. So, as the episode started to progress, she ran into him around Christmas time and he looked spooked. From the first moment she saw him, she knew something right here. Now, he's seeing ghosts from his past. So because he's seeing ghosts from his past, and this is what the enemy does, every time the kingdom spouse gets close to you, the enemy will remind them, because remember this, and we should all know this as children of God. Elisa Marie just did a video on this recently. She said that when the enemy can't get to you with what you're eating, what your eye gates see, what you're smelling, what you're tasting, what you're touching, what's going in your ears, and you got all of your gates closed, guess where he's coming to? Here. He starts messing with your head. That's what was happening to him. He was dealing with the enemy messing with his head about his past. So, what ended up happening is when she saw him, he had a vision. As we know, visions, imprints, premonitions, dreams. He had a waking vision of a ghost from his past. So he immediately knew something's not right here. And she could see all over his face, something's not right here. She at first tried to ignore it a little bit, but she could tell something wasn't quite right. Now she goes and she sees her friends. This is the Christmas holiday, so her and her mom go and check out the Christmas trees. That's not even really important, but she can tell something was off. So at first she tried to ignore it. Meanwhile, he's starting to have these dreams of his past. He's having dreams of the worst things that he could have done. Some of us need to pray for our God ordained spouse in this time frame because the enemy is reminding them of their sins that would disqualify them, so to say, to be in a relationship with you. But you did this. You don't remember when you were in the midst of that kind of activity? You don't remember when you hurt this particular person? You don't remember? None of your relationships have ever really worked in the past. Are you sure you want to get involved? Giving you dreams, visions, and so on and so forth. You need to start rebuking and breaking those dreams for a kingdom spouse. And what will happen, which brought me into what I said in the miniature word, they see you and you see them. What the Lord will allow is if there's something going on, sometimes He will give you a vision into their dreams. I don't talk about this, but I'm going to tell you this much. God will allot you the ability spiritually, depending on how spiritually connected you are to your kingdom spouse, not only to see situation, but to spiritually walk in areas around this person. It's called not really teleportation, spiritual teleportation, but I've heard from somebody before where they said they had a dream that they were in China and they were wearing a coat, and in the dream something happened to the coat, but when they woke up they went to the identical coat that they had in their closet, and it had the markings of what happened in the dream. I personally have had dreams that I was in a place and I was looking at I'm thinking, oh, I'm just in the dream realm, so I can do whatever I want because I'm in the dream realm. Yeah, something happened in the dream and I was not supposed to be seen. So I literally heard an angel's voice say, "Leave now." I was like, wait, what? Leave now or they'll see you. I was like, wait, what? What do you mean they'll see me? This is a dream, right? Is it? Is it? She saw him in the dream realm reenacting one of his worst moments from his past. And she was in the dream. She saw exactly what happened. And he was startled because what he did when he looked up, he was startled to see her there. Okay. So she woke up, which immediately caused her to go to her people and say, something's not right here. At first, I saw him and I saw that something wasn't right. But now that I was pulled into his dream, something really isn't right. Can we check this out? Now, at the same time, because this happened, he went to her father figure to try to get help. But he betrayed the father figure about a year before and had done a horrendous act against the father figure. So that guy wasn't really looking to help him too much. But he had gotten the information and he was looking into it. But he did it from a place of more defense than help. And this actually could speak to a lot of situation. A lot of your enemies are going through torment right now. The Lord is releasing His righteous judgment against those that have done you wrong. And now they are seeking penance for what they did. Some of them may come back to you seeking to apologize. Some of them you have to be very cautious because you have to be aware, especially those that you know, one of their main sources of access to you was they came to you in apology for something, only to get access to you to cause their havoc again. So you have to be very discerning as to whether you let these people in or not. Okay? So when the kingdom spouse and her father figure talked, they came to the understanding that they were doing research about whatever it was that was causing the kingdom spouse to be going through these dreams in the first place. And because her friends cared so much, they popped up and said, "We'll help. Good having you a team of people that are willing to help you out and support your relationship." So they went to do research. Now, kingdom spouse being tormented. He has an apparition that keeps coming to him. Vision telling him he needs to do a specific thing. It's like, just go to sleep and we'll show you this. So he went to sleep. When he went to sleep, he had a dream that he was having sexual intercourse with his God-ordained spouse. This is great if you're married, but I actually found out two things that a lot of Christians may not know if they aren't aware. Number one, Elisa Marie did a video where she was talking about be alert and aware, because sometimes your kingdom spouse, because he has a spiritual connection to you, may actually try to get in your dreams and attempt to do something inappropriate. Because I mean, hey, y'all kingdom spouses, you buried in the spirit anyway, why not? And she actually said this. She's like, well, I wouldn't think it would be bad if we did something in the dream. Y'all ain't married yet. And until you're married, you still belong to God, which means, no, you can't fornicate in the dream either. No. No fornicating, no touching, no finger touching, none of it. You can't do any of it. You can't let your mind wander there. Y'all can't have spiritual foreplay where you thinking about doing stuff with the person. I got caught up a couple of times when I didn't know no better. I didn't know no better. Because I wasn't thinking spiritually that it was anything going. Because for one, I didn't know that my God-ordained spouse had access to my dreams like that. I thought that if I'm thinking of them, I just thinking. But if it may be a thought, that ain't a thought. Okay? Y'all might be in the vision together. Which in turn, no, you're not supposed to do anything. You're not supposed to do anything. No. And what's her name? Megan Michelle did a video where she talked about the fact that, was it a live or was it a video? I think it was a video. And she talked about she had a dream of her and her kingdom spouse. Was it a video? Or was she talking? It may have been the last live she did. And she was talking about she'd had this dream of her kingdom spouse, and they were laying on the bed together, but nothing had happened in one part. But then it flipped, and it was the two of them, and they got more intimate together, and something happened, and she realized that they had committed sin in the dream. And it actually counted as sin against them because it opened a spiritual door to cause the enemy to have free reign access to mess with what was going on spiritually, because they defiled the covenant because they were not married yet. So the fact that they did that put them backwards, which delayed the fact that they would be able to have access to each other to get married. Okay? So it delayed them by actually fornicating in the dream. So you can't do that. Next, as it went forward, they were doing the research. They came to an understanding. He's still being tortured. And because he's still being tortured by visions of people from his past that he hurt, he can't take it. And they're trying to tell him, we need you to do this. In all actuality, it's a demon, which would be the way that the enemy uses your doubts and replays old memories from your past to remind you of who you used to be in order to get you to forfeit who God's trying to make you. So, he became frustrated and he went to her house. That happened first. When he went to her house, she was getting together the Christmas gifts for her mother and the other slayer. And when she came upstairs, she saw him. He was hiding in behind her bedroom door. So when she walked in the room, he slammed the door shut, and he wasn't making any sense. He started talking, and she began to ask him, "What's going on?" Which brings me to what Megan Michelle was talking about last night. You have to stand for them. When he can't stand, he's in a state where he's bluffing. These men will try to act like they strong, but they weak. And because they're weak, they don't want to admit how scared they are of being connected to you. So what will happen is they'll bluff. So they'll act like they're strong, but they're scared. This was a perfect example of the guy being scared. He was scared to tell her what was actually going on. And she's asking him to his face, what is going on? What's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? So what ends up happening is you can't make them an idol, but at the same time, you have to allow them to come to you. Now, he came to her, but he wasn't ready to tell her what was really going on. But she wasn't quite ready to hear what was going on either. Though, because she was his kingdom spouse, she was doing the research to figure it out anyway. A lot of us women, we're fighting in areas for our God-ordained spouses in prayer, researching all of the areas in which we can hit in prayer to make sure we're taking out all of the things that could be a problem for these kingdom spouses. They don't know we're doing it, so they may be in a state where they think they can't tell us, but we're already working on it. She was already working with her friends to try to figure out what was going on with him, but he didn't know that. He was too busy dealing with the issue. So he took off, jumped out the window, and was like, I don't want to be, leave me alone, leave me alone, leave me alone. He wasn't talking to her. He was talking to the double-mindedness that he was dealing with. The enemy will come in and try to sabotage what's going on between you and your kingdom spouse. Because of that, he'll try to bring double-mindedness, make them hand. Let me tell you, it's a couple of different people I listen to. That the ones that haven't met their ordained spouse or met them and they waiting for them to come back. The issue that they having is they're waiting for the kingdom spouse to be like, yo, what's going on? Why are you taking so long? Come on back. I'm waiting for you. But the enemy has them in a state that they're afraid to reach out. And the woman is sitting there like, I'm waiting. And I'll be patient and I'll wait. But I need you to talk to me. And they're in doubt because the enemy's sending a bunch of thoughts, doubts against their mind. Okay? You may not be ready to hear what it is that they need to talk about and get off their chest in order to be free from what it is that they need in order to heal. You can't make it an idol. You can't make them an idol. You have to go back to God and let God work it out with them. Because He's working it out with them, He's going to deal with it. She eventually ended up figuring it out. How did she find out? It was a word in a book. She went to do research with her father figure. When she went to her father figure and they were doing the research, it was a statement and in the book talking about nothing grows above or beneath. She ended up going to the location, jumping down in there. She broke up the covenant. They were doing witchcraft. Oh my God, I forgot about this part. Right now, you're going to potentially see as you prepare, and Stephanie P was talking about this recently. They're doing candle work. She talked about this last night. They're doing candle work, and they're also doing other spells to cause confusion, friction, and other types of issues between you and your God-ordained spouse in order to stop what the Lord is trying to do. Okay? I got like less than a minute and a half to be able to explain the last of this part. There are stains, residue from his past. You're trying to help get it out. He's got to help you. It's his past. He's got to deal with it. You're sitting there. You're like, I'm trying to help you. She meets him at the point of where the sun is meaning to rise. And she's trying to help him work through these things. You're trying to walk with him. He's not listening. You're trying to help get the stains out and help him. He doesn't want the help because he's not really ready to deal with it because he thinks he's inadequate and not able to deal with it. You have to walk with him patiently. When he's ready, he will come to you for the help. But sometimes, and this is the end of the point, God will bring in a scenario that's going to obliterate the whole issue. He went up to the top of his mansion thinking that he was going to die in the sun. Sometimes you think that if you shed light on the scenario, that it will destroy the darkness within it. But in all actuality, the Lord will keep you in that wilderness, in that dark place, until you deal with the issue. He needed to deal with the issue. So the Lord kept them in darkness for the remainder of the day so that they could together deal with the issue. He blotted out the sun. There was no sun for that day. The forecast was snowy. It wasn't going to happen. God took care of the situation. He became sovereign over the situation and covered it himself.